back in the winter and last fall and summer when I actually could travel for work. This is actually what I did kind of for fun. It kind of helped or kind of built out this coach resource guide, which is basically just for every coach, every team, kind of setting the standard of what we're looking to provide as a program, and then give you the resources from a drill and just kind of an idea, practice idea standpoint. So again, we're looking to help the kids have passion for the game, enhance their knowledge, have fun. That's huge. But at the end of the day, for you coaches, especially in 2020, we need you to have very positive, strong leadership, and really just go above and beyond, even maybe out of your comfort zone to make sure that that you're over communicating with your family, the families in your team, that you're kind of working closely with the kids to make sure that that they're having a good experience there as well too. Of course, keeping them in line where it needs to be kept in line as well. But again, we're focused on at least the teams that I've kind of coached and the coaches I've coached with, what I call the 3 roles. And in past years, we broke down as a broader group, and it's one of the things I talked about were the 3 roles. But I would urge and request that you reinforce this with your teams, but the 3 roles: just showing respect, playing hard, and having fun. Those are the 3 rules that the kids need to understand. The show respect part in reality is probably one of the biggest ones. Showing respect to you as the coach, that they're listening, showing respect to their teammates of how they're engaging with their teammates and supporting them, showing respect to the other teams, showing respect to refs, on down the list. So I think that's a very, very important one. And playing hard. Yeah, even if they're not into it that day, staying focused and just getting after it, and of course having fun. So those are the kind of 3 pieces there. The next couple slides I'm going to go through are basically what I'm touching on is these are the building blocks that we're looking to build on or evolve as kids can go through the program. So this is something I've worked with Coach Creel on to kind of started kind of simple and kind of build it up. So by the time you're in 5th and 6th grade, because there's more evolved concepts that they're exposed to and terminology that they're exposed to. But so if we take a look at 1st and 2nd grade, and then the day, they're 1st and 2nd graders, and it's making sure that they're really aware what are the core positions called, whether it's obviously quarterback or wide receiver, but not calling it a snapper. Maybe actually calling it a center. That's what it's called. Understanding what the safety position is, and making sure that if you're playing safety, that nothing gets behind you. And then for pass routes, not throwing the kitchen sink from a pass route standpoint, but really just doing some more simple, what are some shorter routes that you'll be able to run. And it's really, I would say the 2 biggest things is these younger grades, making sure that they're tracking the ball carrier's hips. Even if one day they play tackle football in middle school, high school, that's huge too. Tracking the hip, and then when you're pulling the flag high up on the hip, and then catching with their hands. So it's been a lot of fun to see kids that in 1st grade were scared of the ball, or kind of the ball's bouncing off their chest. So by the time they get to 2nd and 3rd grade, they're catching with their hands and working on some of those just core things. 3rd and 4th grade, now we're starting to evolve this a little bit. So there's several more plays. And as far as the pass route concepts or the pass routes themselves, we're evolving this to add more and some deeper routes. And then being able to make sure that the kids know how to take a proper handoff or pitch the ball properly, how to do just a basic 3-step drop as a quarterback, how to just throw the football and throw a spiral. So all of these things, again, are in the drills that we're sharing. 5th and 6th grade, by the time we get to this level, our oldest level, where the playbooks are actually going to have, instead of a wide receiver, it's going to be an X receiver or a Z receiver or a Y receiver. At the end of the day, getting to the kid's head and helping them remember that just a wide receiver, all it means is you're the tight end. So by the time, again, they get into 7th grade, 8th grade, high school, they've been exposed to this. Offensive formations, we're going to have trips, doubles, empty, and that they know what that means. Again, we'll have the playbooks for each grade level that you'll be working off of. And then at this point, we're gonna have the complete receiver route tree. And we're gonna start working a little bit more, and you should be working a little bit more on surrounding, number one, their backpedaling technique and how they're covering, because in 5th and 6th, we allow them to play man-to-man defense, but also how to have contain. So meaning if you're an outside defender, making sure that there's not a reverse coming around or anything like that, and some of those kind of more basic concepts. Again, here's just a basic route tree that's in that document. I won't go through, there's like 40 to 50 drills that I wound up putting into that document and kind of putting together, describing them. I'm not going to go through all of them, but please make sure that you download that PDF and use that and prepare for your coach meetings. And I also will give sample coach outlines as well too, practice outlines, so you know what to do there. So any questions on that piece before I go into the field setup? All right, so I'll jump into it here. So for 1st and 2nd, 3rd and 4th, we go from sideline to sideline. So it's, if you look at the screen here, in past years, we actually fit 3 football games onto 1 regular football field, because we put 3 fields side by side on there, again, in an effort to spread out the games and the teams and the families. This year, we're just going to have 2 game fields for 1st through 4th, on the football field. And how this works is, if you're new to youth football or new to this type of flag football, how this works is, if you're an offense, you actually start at the 5-yard line. So if you look at the bottom of that no run zone, it'll be kind of that's where the top of that no run zone, that's the 5-yard line is. You have until midfield then to get a first down. So you have 4 downs to get a first down. If you're stopped, let's say just like a yard short of the midfield marker, let's say it's 3rd and 1. And so you have to get 1 yard to get a first down. That's where the no run zone comes in. So it just means if the line of scrimmage is in that area, you're going to have to throw the football. If you're, let's say, 6 yards outside of that no run zone, you can run it or throw it. To be very honest, we've kind of gotten back and forth on this, but from feedback, whether or not we should have the no run zone, but from feedback from coaches and parents, we are keeping it. Really the idea and kind of the thought behind that is, especially if there's an aggressive kid, and I've got one, and I can see him doing this, where it's 3rd and 1, and it's supposed to be a sweep play, and that kid, instead of taking it wide around the side, basically turns that into a dive play, puts his head down and tries to plow straight ahead for a first down. The last thing we want are 2 heads cracking together, or just anyway, that type of collision that could happen. So that's where the no run zone is. That's why we have it. When you're within 5 yards of the opponent's end zone, that's also the no run zone. So just something else to keep in mind on that. The field setup for 5th and 6th, this was new last year and had some very positive feedback from the coaches on this. So if you're familiar with 7-on-7, kind of at that high school level or even college level, it's pretty darn similar. So literally they're using up an entire half of a football field. So instead of going sideline to sideline, basically it's, a 50-yard line to the end zone in one direction for one of the games. Same exact rule. We start at the 5 yards outside the end zone. The width, not only the length, but the width is going to be much wider, because it's the real width of a football field. So in 5th and 6th, it's definitely going to be a lot more spread out. It's going to be a lot more opportunity, I think, for kids to break out and get touchdowns, to kind of break out around the corner or go deep. So anyway, that is the setup we have there for 5th and 6th. And then, I want to go through it, not all the rule books, but just some of the key rules. Whether you're new to, and actually I'm going to write down to make sure to send the link to you guys for you you for the link for the rule books as well, because we have specific rule books depending on the grade level. But in the big, the rules are 95% of them are exactly the same. And so again, we already talked about the no run zone. So if you have questions, let me know on that, but that's pretty straightforward. As far as the equipment, and this is whether it's practices or games, please make sure that every kid has a mouth guard. Make sure that, you know, kids have non-metal cleats. We haven't really run that in the past, but just put that in there just in case. For games, they must wear their youth football jersey that they're going to be getting, and it needs to be tucked into their pants. So they should not be covering the top of the flags. And the flag belt, as I mentioned before, should not have excess material dangling off of it. Saw that happen a couple years ago with, anyway, it was during a practice and some excess flag belt was hanging off, and a kid went to grab for the flag, grabbed kind of basically where it cinches the belt. And so the poor kid that had the ball, his entire waist just got like pinched really, really tightly. So long story short, we want to go away from that happening. So make sure that that access is cut and taped up. Games are 2 20-minute halves of the running clock. So the last 2 minutes of the game does stop for incompletions, out of bounds, scores, etc. Not the last 2 minutes of before halftime, the clock doesn't stop. It still be a running clock. Halftime itself is 2 minutes. Play clock is 45 seconds. 1 timeout per half, and a tie will end at a tie. So we have quite a few games and quite a few recycling quite a few people through the fields on a Saturday. So that's why we have some of these rules in place to really make sure that the games truly are running 45 to 50 minutes in length, and that there are going to be allowed to tie. So one of the questions that does come up if a player fumbles, they are down on the spot. So there's no monkey pile to try to get the football. If there's a fumble, it means they're down on the spot, and they're done. So if any part of the body touches the ground except for their hands or their feet, the player is down too. So if a player tries to make a cut, slips, their knee goes down, they're down. No need to pull the flag. The ref should be blowing the whistle. Now, if they slip and they put their hand down and their knee does not touch, or elbow does not touch, then they can keep going. So they are not down. If a flag inadvertently falls off, that should not happen. The Shrooms flags that we ordered and working with that company this year to make our custom flags, really well made. They should be sticking on there. But in the event it falls off, it turns into one-hand touch. And the players mark down where their body is when the flag is pulled. So sometimes a kid will try to reach with the football when their flag is pulled, but it's not where the football is, it's where their body is. The offense, like I said, starts at the 5-yard line. First down markers at midfield, and then when punting. So there's no real punting, but in reality, let's say it's 4th down, you still have 10 yards before the midfield marker. You can punt to the other team, which basically means the other team starts at the 5-yard line and their own 5-yard line. Poor conduct, we haven't seen a whole lot of this, thankfully, knock on wood, but poor conduct, is really determined by the refs. So swearing, intentionally tackling, running through players, just, obviously things that are kind of above and beyond ridiculous. With that said, the refs they're high school kids, they're teenagers. We work with Coach Crail's football players are the ones that are doing it. After a game Friday night, they come and help ref. So take it easy on them. They're not necessarily going to see everything or potentially have the confidence to maybe call everything, even though working with them on that to have the confidence to call things. But I think that goes back to you as coaches to when you see something, especially with your own team, to call it out and stop it. So actually happened to me last year. A kid on our team, actually probably our best player, was frustrated and did a kind of a shoulder check tackle of another player on the opposite team out of bounds. The kid was done. I mean, I think we were only partially in the first half, so he basically didn't play the entire game. And it was our choice as a coaches to yank him off the field because he made that choice. So again, control what you can control. Be a leader where you are, and kind of catch your own kids either doing the right thing or catch them when they're not doing the right thing. So some of the ball handling stuff, none of the drills we have have screen passes. The reason for that is we don't want to have screen passes where all of a sudden there's like this wall of offensive players are trying to block. That should not be happening. With that said, the running back, one of the best plays I think are just a running back out as an outlet receiver if nobody's open. So quarterback cannot rush past the line of scrimmage unless they're blitzed. So first and second grade coaches, one of you is going to be the quarterback for your age level. We do that in order to make sure that, or at least try to get every kid an opportunity to get a handoff, to catch a pass. But for your level, first and second grade, there is no blitzing at all. But for third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, there is blitzing. There's going to be a blitz marker that's put on the field by one of the refs that's 7 yards away from the line of scrimmage. If the blitzer blitzes, if I'm quarterback, as soon as that blitzer crosses the line of scrimmage, then I can cross the line of scrimmage. So it's not like they can see somebody blitzing and then the quarterback scrambles and takes off. They cannot cross that line of scrimmage until the defender crosses the line of scrimmage. We do have play action passes that you can do in third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So again, if you're doing a play action pass, that very easily could be a running play. And so you're giving up your opportunity to say that nobody can cross the line of scrimmage unless they've blitzed from 7 yards away. Because if it's a running play, as soon as the kids in defense see that key that's a running play, they can come break into the other side to try to get a flag. And if it winds up being a pass play, that's kind of what you're giving up as an offense to allow them to come across the line of scrimmage. Defense players, please don't have them line up closer than 1 yard away. And I would venture to say probably a couple yards away would be better. Sometimes you see the kids that are like almost nose to nose. Let's just give each other a little bit of space there. And flag guarding is a biggie. It happens in practices. It happens in games. I think it's natural for kids to just kind of flag guard or stiff arm. Really going to press the refs to call that this year. Please watch it on your own teams as well. Reinforce to not flag guard, to not stiff arm. If it is called, it means that the kid, even if their flag's not pulled during a game, they're down right there. Offensive players can't use their hands to try to block or screen the players. Touchdowns are 6 points. If you're looking at extra points, if you want to go for 1 point, you can go from 5 yards away. If you want to go for 10 points, it's 2 yards away. 2 points, it's 10 yards away. So the big piece with that is if you go for 1 point, you're going to have to pass because you're going to be within that no run zone. Safeties, if a player is down in the end zone, 2 points is not awarded. So if it's second down and I'm the quarterback and I get my flag pulled in the end zone, it's not technically a safety. It just means that the ball is then placed on third down at the 1 yard line. With that said, if it's fourth down and we're going for it and I get my flag pulled in the end zone, then that is a traditional safety where the defense is awarded 2 points and then they'll get the ball at their own 5 yard line. Pass interference, poor conduct are 15-yard penalties. And again, it's noted by the refs. Game or grade specific, grade 5 and 6, it's going to be 7-on-7. So the bigger field, we're going to have 7-on-7. Our goal is absolutely to have at least 2 refs because it's such a big field. The centers need to snap between their legs. So if you're in 5th and 6th, we're saying that, okay, let's snap the ball the right way. And so everything is shotgun. They need to do it between their legs. The question came up both last year and actually last night. What do we do if a muff snap? So I can give you kind of a squishy answer here, but basically just if it is the first game that you guys play, let it go. Let a couple of them go. That's fine. Let's kind of work through it, especially because we're going to have half the number of practices because of COVID. So let it go. But by that second, third, fourth game, okay, we're going to start calling it down. But let's have a little bit of, again, kind of grace and patience in that first game in particular. Again, quarterback can't rush past the line of scrimmage unless they're blitzed. Talked about the 7 yards away. Then defense, with 5th and 6th grade, you can blitz up to 3 times per half. And you cannot carry over blitzes from the first half to the second half. But the thought behind that is just not having kids blitz every play, just have it be kind of a gong show and just difficult for kids to complete a play. And defense can be either man or zone defense at 5th and 6th. Now, if we go to 3rd and 4th grade, all the rules are the same, except we're going to go 6 on 6, minimum lineup of 5 on 5. Centers do not need a snap between their legs, so it should be just a kind of, they can just do a snap from the side. That's fine. Same rules with blitzing and rushing, but in 3rd and 4th, there's only 2 blitzes per half for 3rd and 4th. Again, and then on defense, we were asking to do zone only, and the same thing will go for 1st and 2nd grade, where it'll be zone only for defense. And the question is, why is that? To be honest, because 2 reasons. The first one, during practice, you're able to tell your kids, hey, you're a linebacker, you're in this area of the field. If the ball comes in this area of the field, it gets in this area, this is your area you need to cover. And then when it comes to the games, from our own experiences, we've seen where it's one-on-one. I mean, if it's man-to-man, it takes, especially for the young kids, it takes forever to get the kids lined up and say, hey, Johnny, you've got Mindy. Hey, Bobby, you've got, Andrew. And just get the defense lined up on player to player. And so that just minimizes the number of plays that are actually able to be played during the games. So again, those are the 2 reasons why we're doing that. Again, coach is one of the coaches that are going to play quarterback. So no blitzing on defense. For those of you out there that have coached for a number of years that we're coaching 1st and 2nd, when we used to allow kids to blitz the coaches, you're welcome. You're not getting blitzed anymore. Nothing that's more embarrassing than being 30-some years old or 40-some years old and being chased around by a 7-year-old, where you're just trying to throw a completion to a target that's about that big. And to that point, no play action passes as well. So before I get into the kind of the key takeaways, I only have a couple more slides here. Any questions before I get into the last couple slides and before we get to the official question section? And it looks like Craig, you had asked about the limited number of blitzes. You may have asked that before I covered it, but yeah, absolutely. So 3rd and 4th, I believe that's your coaching 3rd and 4th. So that'd be 2 blitzes per half. So cool. Let's see here. So the key takeaways, if we look at the end of the day, Josh covered a ton of information, talked a lot about COVID, talked a lot about all the things we're looking to do to mitigate risk in that front. But here are the key takeaways outside of that. Really, again, let's make sure that we're building up an experience. The kids are, passionate about the game of football. They're enhancing their skills. They're having fun. My daughter that I'm coaching that's going into 2nd grade, she loves football. And even though one day her dream is to be the first female to play in the NFL, don't think, good for her. I hope that happens, but I don't think it will. But again, it's building up that love for the game, and build up that knowledge as you move forward. So the other piece of this, you coaches are the absolute backbone of the program. So we're all volunteers, coaches, board members on down the line, but it comes down to the interaction the kids have with you. It comes down to the interaction that the parents and families have with you. So we're really looking for you to step up and make an impact where you are as a coach and as a leader. And a lot of that comes down to communication, especially in the middle of a global pandemic. So if you, as a coach, you have now 2-3 coaches on your team, please make sure at least one of the coaches is emailing at least once a week to your families, giving them all an update, giving some encouraging feedback, whatever that might be. Just again, over communicate, ask them to introduce themselves to you. I think that's really, really, really important. The other piece is look for communication from us, from the board members and myself. Obviously, we're in a fluid situation with COVID, so things can evolve and change. And so please make sure to keep an eye on email communication from that perspective, because we won't as easily be able to do as many face-to-face things as we had in the past. And come to practices and games prepared. So again, you're volunteering your time, really, really, really appreciate it, especially all of you that stepped up, that didn't initially say you're gonna help coach, but then reached out and said, hey, there's a need and we're gonna help out. So thank you for that. But I would say just take that extra time, even if it's 10, 15 minutes before the practice or game, have a rough idea of how you want to set it up, what kind of drills you want to run, what's the timing of it. Again, I'll provide some samples for you to work off of if this is new to you, but again, be prepared for that. The other thing that, and I have neglected to mention this before, the other thing that has come up is, kids playing quarterback. And so my personal opinion on this, and this is, we still honestly defer to you as coaches, because again, you're the ones that are leading your teams and again, in charge of that experience. But, I asked the kids at the start of the year, who wants to play quarterback in one of the games? And so come to find out, if you've got 10 kids in your team, probably 5 or 6 will raise their hand. Maybe it's actually only 3 or 4, but we'll see. And then from there, the kids that really want to do it. And then you work with them, and then the kids that maybe more naturally are comfortable doing it, or just know the plays that much better, they get the first experience with it. And the other kids that maybe aren't paying attention in practice, or don't really understand the plays, or don't really care, or kind of checked out, you kind of have that conversation with them that, okay, you still want to be a quarterback for one of the games, or one of the upcoming games. And if they do, then kind of, hey, here's some of the things you need to work on. And do it in a positive, supportive way, but making it clear that you're not just going to get thrown out there and anyway, just throw the ball around. If it is a kid, that really, really wants to do it, has worked hard to do it, maybe doesn't have that kind of just built-in athleticism. Could have been me probably back in the day. Maybe that means just having them play for a half or a series, but at least getting them that experience to be able to do it. The whole idea of having one quarterback that does, or 2 quarterbacks that basically plays every single game, not a huge fan of that. Let's give other kids the opportunity to be able to do that. And last but not least, I'll get off my soapbox on that piece. Last but not least, the big 3. Continue to reinforce that, show respect, play hard, and have fun. So with that, we are at the kind of next steps and questions part. So any additional questions or anything you guys and gals want to talk about?
Hey Josh, it's Wade. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Just want to say a huge thank you to you guys on the board and all the setup that you've done. I know how much work goes in it, so just a huge thank you for everything you do.
Yeah, thanks, Wade. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Wade, for looping me into the youth football board.
You're welcome.
Awesome. And yep, and it looks like there's a question on here, a couple more questions on here. With fumbles resulting in a down, are the 2 ways to turn over the ball, either interception or seizing the ball? Yeah, so for turnovers are always going to be interceptions, or if the team is down on after 4 downs. So if they go for it on 4th down, don't make it, the other team gets the ball. The other way would be an interception. The other aspect, and that reminds me, is let's say a team is going for an extra point and they throw the ball and the defender intercepts it and takes it all the way back for a touchdown. That would be just kind of like a regular football. That would actually be 2 points for the team that intercepts the ball and brings it back. So it's something to keep in mind in there. Masks are optional, yes. So at this point, masks are optional. We do have the disposable masks that are going to be available in the bins for the teams. But at this point, the school district is not requiring that the coaches nor kids wear masks. And I believe that still goes for, if I remember correctly, when the kids are in school. When they're outside at recess, they're not required to wear masks either. Any other questions or anything else?
Just to follow up on my question.
Yeah.
So are kids allowed to seize the ball? Can they come in that close, or is that not a good thing? Okay.
No. Yeah, exactly. Yes. I wasn't sure what you meant by that. So yeah, good. Yeah, another good question. So yes, that there is. So if kids catch the ball together, tie goes to the offense on that. So kind of like in baseball, tie goes to the runner. Tie goes to offense. We don't want 2 kids trying to catch the ball, the defender like ripping it out and forcing a fumble. That kind of defeats the purpose of a lot of what we're trying to do here. So no, that would not be a turnover. Any other questions? Okay, and if there's not, so I've got a list, now that we've had both coach meeting last night and tonight, yeah, look for communication from the board and myself for the following things. I'm going to provide a link to the playbooks. So the playbooks they will be in your coach bins for your grade level. And again, it's grade level specific playbooks, and you need to use that playbook. So just kind of keep that in mind, so everything is fair that way. We'll also have a link to the practice guide that actually shows the different drills in sample practice guides. I'll provide Jason Frederickson's contact, who's the COVID contact. So again, anything comes up, reach out to Jason and me. Practice field maps, like I said, I'll make sure practice field and game maps, they're on the website, but I'll have the links to that. COVID communication plan, I'm actually gonna be sharing that with all families, so parents and coaches, and then I will provide a copy of the rule books. And the rule books are tweaked to the grade level. So even though we've gone through these, I still urge you to read the rule books. Take the 5 minutes, read the rule books for your first and second, or third and fourth, or fifth and sixth, and go from there. So on that note, if there's no other questions, I just want to one last time thank you. Thank you for stepping up, helping the youth football program, the larger football program in the community. And just honestly, I think these kids, honestly, us parents, we need some normalcy back in our lives. So I think it'll be a lot of fun getting the kids out here and playing some football and just having fun. So thank you for all that you're doing. And don't ever hesitate to reach out. I'll be at every practice. I'll be at every game. So if we haven't met before,